What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Supergirl Season 3, Episode 19, The Fanatical. So we kick off this episode. You might remember, if you watched my Supergirl review from the last 3 episodes, I brought up something in Episode 17, I think, where I was like, wait a minute, if the 3 world killers are also Kryptonian, and Kryptonians are supposed to get their powers from a yellow star, and they're blocking out that star right now, so Supergirl is losing her powers, then why aren't they? And at the time, I was like, you know what, maybe there's just some dark magic involved that I don't understand, so maybe that's what's actually giving them their powers. It's not because they're Kryptonians or anything like that. But at the beginning of this episode, they clearly state, no, Rain's blood cells are like plant cells. And then Supergirl's like, well, yeah, that's how Kryptonians are. Our cells are more similar to plants because that's why we draw power from the sun. Okay, so you did that in episode 17. You blocked out the sun, but kept them having their powers, even though they're also Kryptonian. And instead of just leaving it at that, instead of just saying, oh, okay, well, you know, that, I guess we'll just say it's dark magic. Instead of leaving it at that, no, you have to confirm in this episode that their cells are Kryptonian, which means when you block out the sun, they should not have powers anymore. You said it at the beginning of this episode. Her cells are like plant cells, which means you take away the sun, she loses her powers. That's how it should be. But no. Because the only people that watch the show are people that are either stupid or don't want to pay attention. They just want to, hey, I'm stupid now. I want to watch this show. That's exactly what it is. I mean, I swear, it's ridiculous. You create plot holes, and then instead of trying to fix them by saying, oh, guys, well, why didn't they lose their powers when the sun went out? Oh, well, it's because, you know, the dark magic is still fueling their body. No, instead of doing that, you're like, no, they have Kryptonian cells, guys. And we're just not going to address the fact that they didn't lose their power whenever the sun got blocked out. Also, I got to address the fact that Julia kept her powers even though she became human. At that point, she shouldn't be Kryptonian anymore. Because who cares about the show, right? Who cares about the writers? Who cares about the audience? Who cares about anything? Because it's Supergirl. And we don't care. We're just going to shit up on the screen. Ah! Whew. Wow. I kind of lost it there for a second. I apologize about that. Yeah, so that's how this episode started off for me. It was kind of me losing my mind a little bit because they brought up a plot hole that I asked a question about, and then they didn't explain it, and then they made it even worse by saying, oh no, that plot hole was completely justified. So, with that being said, ultimately this episode is about that the cult that followed Coville for a while. Apparently they restarted up to try to create another world killer after Rain was taken down. And so one of the girls we saw at the end of the last episode stole a book from them and then went and took it to Jimmy and Kara so they could take it to Supergirl, and so they're trying to protect her, and then ultimately the cult does all this stuff. They try to create the other world killer. The one girl, Olivia, becomes a world killer for a second, but then decides she doesn't want to do it anymore because Supergirl gives her a motivational speech. And so then they manage to stop her. But ultimately, at the end of all of this, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is episode 19. They've got 4 episodes left after this. How are they going to stretch this out in 4 episodes? It just feels like they're just trying to find a way to turn Rain back into Sam. And they've got Sam locked up. So how's this going to stretch out? Well, then all of a sudden, you hear clanking coming out from inside of Rain's room and Lena's lab. And Sam is standing up. And it's just like, wait, what? She's supposed to be sedated by the kryptonite and locked up. What? And then Lena drops this little bomb. Oh, it's Pestilence's powers. She must be adapting and becoming immune to kryptonite. Okay. From what I understood, Pestilence was able to adapt her disease that's inside of her. She was able to adapt that disease to overcome any medicine that was able to cure it. That's how I understood her powers. You're now telling me that a Kryptonian was able to adapt her cells to be immune to kryptonite. That's a thing. So we went from, oh yeah, she can adapt her cells to make sure her disease that she creates, yeah, now it can't be cured by anything. That's her powers. Now that's being really, really, really overdone and really drawn out and stretched really thin. You're taking that line of imagination and going, we need a way to stretch out the season even longer, so we're going to stretch this line of imagination as long as we can. And now she's immune to kryptonite, or becoming immune to kryptonite. Why? Oh, because we got 4 more episodes. We got to do it somehow. We can't just end at episode 20. No. And on top of that, we can't end with something simple as, oh, we go get the medicine and then we bring her back and Sam's cured. No, it's got to be she breaks out at some point and the Supergirl's got to fight her because it's always got to end on a fight, you know? Yeah, because that's what this show's all about, is the fighting. Right? No, don't do that. Don't you do that. Don't try to make it about we got to end on a fight scene, because guess what? That's not what the show is about. If that's what the show's about, I would like it a lot more. If it was always building up to some ultimate like climactic fight, I'd love this show, but that's not what it's about. It's about the friendships and the relationships and the drama and the soap opera and all of that political jargon that they want to throw in it. That's what it's all about. Because if it was about the fighting, there would be so much more focus on Supergirl and her trying to stop the bad guys, but that is like maybe 25% of this show over the 3 seasons. Because they would rather focus on, we got to build up the drama, guys. Oh, let's talk about family. Let's talk about relationships, and let's talk about our friendships and trust, and let's talk about this, and let's talk about how anybody who's a conservative is evil because we're all liberal, which means we support everything here. Yeah. Which then brings me right into my next point. Supergirl tries to tackle racial problems in the world. And they did this, what was it, last season, I think? They had that one episode where all of a sudden, like, they just really went full force. Like John Johns was talking about, you know, how he had, talking to Jimmy about being a black man in this world and stuff like that. And they also, you know, they even threw in like a Trump line. What was it, the beginning of this season? I think it was the beginning of this season where Maggie was talking to her father about being gay. And then his father's like, they're trying to build a wall to keep us out, even though we've seen the president in this world is not Trump, so how does that make sense? We've already talked about that. Now all of a sudden it's about police brutality. Because Jimmy, you know, this helmet gets shot off, and these 2 people have guns, and Jimmy is just dressed up in armor, and they're just pointing the guns at him. You're like, ugh. And he's just like, all right. And then just smoke bomb and disappears. And then all of a sudden, just full force right into the fact that because he's black, he's been arrested before. And then the girl's like, yeah, I saw my brothers and my dad get shot by the police because of this, but I never thought it would happen to Guardian. And now Jimmy's talking about how he needs to be a hero to help kids, same color as him, step up and see that they can be heroes too. I'm like, okay, look, don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of racist idiots out there. Don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of police idiots out there that want to do the whole, you know, like because it's a black man, oh yeah, he's going to get arrested. Here's the thing. You, Supergirl show, you don't have the right to talk about this stuff. You have not earned that. You've not earned the right to address such heavy-handed stuff because you so rarely handle anything correctly. And your show is so poorly written, and your characters are so poorly written. And on top of all of this is not a show for Black Lightning. It makes sense. Black Lightning is all about a black superhero, which means he's dealt with stuff before. They tackle it. Sometimes they tackled it well. Sometimes they didn't tackle it too well. Sometimes it was way too heavy-handed. Sometimes they actually addressed very important morals and dilemmas. One of my favorite lines from that is, don't attack hate with hate. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly how the world should be. Instead of dividing people, it should be about bringing them together. And most of the time, that's what that show tried to show. But Supergirl, who's about a girl from another planet who can fly and stop the bad guys and save the day. And on top of all of this, you know, you're not really very dramatic and heavy-handed. You're more of you should be more of an upbeat, light show. You don't get the right to talk about this stuff. Just because you've got a guy who is trying to be a vigilante and he's black, which really is kind of mixed, but it's based on a character who was purposefully taken from being a pasty-faced, red-haired kid and turned into a buff black guy, stud. You took that character and turned him into something he's not for this show, and then you want to use that character to talk about racial tension. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I get that, okay, I may not be the perfect person to talk about this because of the color of my skin, but I still don't get that. And I don't understand why the show thinks it has the right to talk about such heavy things when it's shown it so rarely does well. Everything to do with the Alex coming out of the closet and all that, it was handled so poorly. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, you guys don't know how to talk about political stuff. You guys don't know how to talk about the social stuff in this world. You do not know how to write this type of stuff. And so now you feel like, oh, guys, since Jimmy's being a vigilante, let's make this about racial injustice in the world, huh? Let's do that, yeah. Let's randomly throw some cops in that see Jimmy and see that he's black, and so they're gonna point their weapons at him. Yeah, let's do that because that's what this show is about. When I saw that the cops showed up and then Jimmy put his hands up and they were pointing their guns at him, I'm like, they're really going this route, aren't they? They are really about to go this route and say, oh, because he's black. That's exactly what they're gonna do, right? Yep. About 10 minutes throughout the entire episode were spent talking about how Jimmy feels like he's got to stand up and show the world that just because of the color of his skin, he could still be a hero. You know, he just wants to give the kids something to look up to in this world. I'm like, this is dumb. Not only are you focusing more on a side character again over the main character of your show, but it's on a topic that has been discussed once in this entire 3 seasons. It was just, God. Oh, I know I kind of went off the rails on that one a little bit, but man, when that popped up, I'm just like, really? You don't have the right to talk about this. You don't get it. You don't understand anything that's going on in the world right now, and you've shown that time and time again, show writers. So just stop. Just stop trying. So that's all said and done. As far as Kara and Lena, they're going through their spat still. Kara still wants to try to be friends with Lena. Lena doesn't want to be friends with Supergirl, but does want to be friends with Kara. I still have to wonder how she can't figure out that Kara and Supergirl are the same person, that she's supposed to be so smart. But ultimately, Supergirl at one point is talking about, sorry that I don't want to lose our friendship. And Lena's like, oh, we never had a friendship to begin with. And she's like, look, this is just a business thing. This is working together. So this is it. And then Supergirl is trying to help out, and she's just like, no, you've betrayed my trust. I can't trust you anymore. And it just takes up so much time, and I'm just like, I don't care about their friendship or anything. I just want to see them save the day. And then the episode ends. A guy is walking in to where they were trying to create the other world killer. And, of course, earlier in the episode, they were talking about Coville. It's like, oh, I think he's actually dead. I'm pretty sure he might have passed away already. Like, so clearly he's still alive. So whenever they showed somebody walking in, and it's after all of this is said and done, I'm like, oh, so is it Coville? Oh, so is it Coville? It's Coville, right? And then I'm waiting. Sir, what are you doing? This is a crime scene. I'm waiting. Sir, what are you doing here? Sir, are you okay? I've never been better. Oh my gosh, it's Coville! No duh. These show writers think they're so clever, and they're so obvious. So anyways, with all that being said, that's pretty much all for this episode. I apologize for those of you that don't want to, for those of you that think that I don't have the right to talk about political stuff either. I get that we're probably going to disagree on most things. I mean, let's be honest. Most people that watch this show are probably not conservatives. I'm probably one of the few that are. So I get the fact that I am going to disagree with most of the viewership on this stuff. But that, to me, it's taken a little too far because it is a side character. It is a character that was based on a white guy that they turned into a black guy, and now they want to make it about race. And, that just doesn't really make sense to me. That's kind of hypocrisy. Because you want to talk about all the whitewashing going on, and then you decide to make one character that was white black. It's like, well, how does that make sense? How exactly are you going to use that? And basically they just used it to say, oh, well, now we've got this guy that Clark can fall in love with because he's good looking, and it's a character from the comics that people know, even though it's nothing like the character from the comics. And then on top of all of that, they decide to use it for something like this. Just like, it really doesn't make any sense when you really think about it. and it just wasn't handled very well. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. Obviously, if you disagree, let me know down in the comments. But with all that being said, that's the end of this episode. So now on to the next one. See you guys there. And now for episode 20, Dark Side of the Moon. So, oh boy, let's go ahead and just get started with it. I apologize if I seem a little distracted or yawn a lot. It's like midnight, but I'm like, hey, let's just power through and try to get through more of these episodes tonight because I don't know when I'm going to have time over the next couple weeks. So I'm just going to do my best to finish up as much as I can until I pass out watching one of these shows. And let's be honest, I mean, Supergirl is the perfect show that could just make me pass out right in the middle of an episode. So it might happen. But yeah, so there's two different parts of this story. Talk about the least interesting parts of the two. We've got Alex, who's being attacked by somebody. First of all, she's randomly walking out in just the park or something with Ruby, and then all of a sudden somebody like shoots at her and then tosses a grenade. And I'm like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? And then she like looks at it and it's like beeping faster. I'm like, oh. And then she grabs it and she's looking. She sees a dumpster and she runs over and then lifts it up, looks at it, tosses it in, closes it. Everybody get back! Runs away. And then boom! And I'm like, wait a minute, okay. What? Is this the most useless assassin in the world? Like, I've got a grenade. Click. Beep, 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 okay, it finally blew up. Like, what? Who has a grenade that literally takes 30 seconds to explode? That's ridiculous. That's the most useless grenade in the world. For her to have enough time to look at it, grab it, look for a place to throw it away, find a place to throw it away, chunk it in there, tell everybody to run away, and then run away, and then it blows up. Gah. That wasn't a good start to the episode. So we're dealing with that. She's trying to find out who's going to kill her. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, is this going to have any bearing on the plot? Is this going to have any bearing on the plot whatsoever? Or is this just going to be another side story for me to groan at? I mean, I shouldn't have even asked that question. I should have just known it's a boring side story for me to groan at because guess what? It's some random guy we don't really know. Apparently she locked up his brother or something because he was on Fort Ross. I don't know. It doesn't relate to anything right now. Maybe it will later, but it doesn't right now. So I just don't care. Basically what this is all leading to is she's out there. She's chasing down this guy. She leaps from a building to another building and barely makes it. And then at the end she's talking to John and she's just like, I just realized I'm the type of person that's going to make that leap, that's going to go out there, jump the buildings and stop the bad guy. I'm like, well, you used to be. And she's like, but how am I want to have kids. That's why I broke up with Maggie. I'm like, oh, we're going here. So this is what this whole story was about. It's her realizing that it's not fair. Oh, I broke up with Maggie because she don't want kids, but how am I supposed to have kids if I'm going to make this leap that might kill me? And it was actually kind of funny about it to me, though, is the fact that she's sitting here talking about how she's two people. Like, how can those two people be one? And like, it is funny because you are pretty much two people. Your first season Alex, whenever you're out stopping the bad guys, but then your second and third season Alex, whenever you're talking about Maggie or Ruby or, oh my gosh, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to be a mother one day. And because first season Alex was all about that stuff, right? This is why you don't turn one of your most badass characters into a whiny little crybaby who cries over the girlfriend that she lost and the possibility of her not being a mother. Because it just ruins her character. It takes so much away from her. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I understand that's part of being a human, but she's an agent. She's an agent first. And it's not something that she's dealt with until the show came over to the CW and they said, you know what? Not relatable enough, guys. It's a show about superheroes. It doesn't have to be relatable. You don't always have to make it, let's talk about the human drama, though. Let's talk about relationships, because that's what we can relate to. We can't relate to superheroes and flying around and stopping bad guys. We can't relate to any... It's an escape from reality. That's what these shows are meant for. When I go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't go in thinking to myself, I really hope that they discuss, the bond of the team. It's discussed, but it's hit on here and there. It's little moral points that are talked about here and there, or it's used to develop our characters more and make them more interesting characters and help them stop the bad guys because they work together. That's where the relatability comes in, is whenever you see how people doing things that are not relatable can be relatable from time to time. Not when it's hit you over the head every second of every episode. Let's talk about why you're relatable. Bam! Because, she's got a girlfriend. Bam! And because she wants to be a mother. Bam! I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I just want to see a superhero show. If it's trickled in, that's fine. But this show is so not trickled in. It's not subtle. It's like, let's just beat you over the head with how obvious our morals are and how relatable our characters are. That's not what I'm here for. And I get that I probably should go to another show because I shouldn't expect this show. I should have already lowered my standards. But my God, did it just really hit me over the head as I'm watching her be a badass throughout most of this episode. She's wanting to track down the guy. That chase scene, really exciting. Seeing her jump from one building to another, I'm like, yeah, that's the Alex I know. That's the Alex I wanted to see from most of these past 2 seasons that I haven't gotten. That is what Alex was in season 1. She was the one who's going to jump from building to building. Then they introduced Maggie, and all of a sudden she just became this whiny little crybaby that would rather talk to her girlfriend on a mission than try to help save people's lives. And that's stupid. It's just ruining a character. So I got to rant about that. Then the more interesting side of things, Kara and Mon-El go to this place that's apparently supposed to have this rock that they're looking for that's going to help save Sam. And apparently it's on Argo, which was a part of Krypton that was managed to be kept safe by Kara's dad. It ended up working and keeping everyone safe, and so her mom is there, and it's this kind of utopia type place. They're all living peacefully, they're all happy, and they're safe, and everything's hunky-dory. Mon-El is loving it. Kara's loving the fact that she gets to see her mother. And so I'm just sitting here, I'm like, all right, so when's the shoe going to drop? Because, it's just way too coincidental that she just happens upon her mother in this place. What's actually going on here? Ultimately, it really is her mother. It really is this place that was kept alive. And I'm like, well, that's an interesting little tidbit. Obviously, Kara realizes, okay, we do need to get back to Earth. We need to save people's lives there. Because even though I'm glad my mom's still alive, I'm glad Krypton is still somewhat alive, yeah, there's people that I care about now that I've developed family relationships with. I need to get back to them. Those are people that are just as important to me. I'm like, okay, well, at least we're not doing the cliche thing where it's like, just stay with us, Kara. You're with us now. She actually is thinking maturely. But she has to try to get this rock that apparently is a very limited resource. And so she has to talk to this council. And, of course, most of the council is like, no. And then some of the council is trying to help them. And then on top of that, they walk in, and the lady who sent the world killers to Earth in the first place is also part of the council. I'm like, oh, so she stayed alive. Interesting. I don't know where this is going, but interesting. And so it's like split 50-50. It comes down to that woman and her vote. And she's like, all right, we're going to help you. And so my only thought is, well, there's obviously something else to this. So what exactly is it? I'm guessing whatever rock she just got that is supposed to help Sam, I'm guessing Sam can use it. Or well, I should probably stop calling her Sam, because she's technically, when she's a bad guy, she's Rain. But I'm guessing Rain should be able to use it for something. I don't know what. But this is probably the first time that at least the first time in the last few episodes that I've actually felt invested in this story again. Because I remember talking about the first half of the season way back when I was first watching it. The Sam and Rain stuff was actually pretty interesting at first. I was sort of kind of thinking, okay, so what is this about? Who are these world killers? What's their story? I was kind of interested to see what was going to happen, and then they took some stupid turns with it here and there, and I sort of lost interest. But now that they've brought Krypton back, and the woman who sent all these world killers to Earth is still alive, now I kind of feel like, okay, so my interest is piqued again. Can you hold on to it till the end of the season? That's going to be the interesting part. Can they manage to hold on to my interest until the end of the season with this whole story? Once again, it kind of feels like, okay, so it should be getting close. Okay, there's 3 more episodes left. What else is there? Because they get to the lab. Rain nearly called her Ram because, Rain Sam. So she's a Ram. Dodge Ram. Wow, I'm really tired. But she breaks out of her confinement just as Kara and Mon-El are showing up. And so, of course, now this battle is going to happen. I'm sure Rain's going to beat her up again because she's even more powerful than she was before. So, I don't know, but it feels like this should be leading closer and closer to the climactic battle, and instead it's still 3 episodes away. I don't know what else they could do. But yeah, so we'll see what happens next. I am kind of looking forward to seeing how they're going to take the story, what they're going to do next. It feels like it's going to be obvious. They're going to find a way to save Sam and make sure she gets to go back with Ruby. I don't know if they're going to end up doing what it looks like they're doing, because Rain is like taunting Lena and making her think she's like an evil person. So I don't know if that's where they're going with Lena's character or not. I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's about it for this episode, though. So on to the last of these 3. See you there. Now on to episode 21, the last of these 3, before I'll probably be done with these for tonight. Maybe, possibly. Not Kansas. And so I talked about last episode. I was like, well, they still got a few more episodes left, and it feels like we're getting close to the climax. What could they possibly do? Well, they stop rain. I probably should have seen that coming, since the lady who's in charge of the world killers and stuff, she is actually still alive. I probably should have seen it coming that they would stop rain, and it would be like, oh, guys, we won. Hey, everything's all good. Nothing could go wrong. Because that's what they love to do on the show, is just keep on going, hey, guys, we did it. And then they didn't actually do it, and things go wrong. So basically that's what happens. They manage to kill Rain and then keep Sam alive using the piece of the rock or whatever that Supergirl got. And so that's how this episode starts off. And then Supergirl's like, well, I guess I want to go home, guys. My home is still there. And she wants Mon-El to come along. It's like, all right, fine enough. And so I'm just thinking to myself, all right, so this is probably going to show us, it's going to start building up everything going on with like this lady, her name's Selena, and all of the world killer stuff, right? Wrong. If you thought for 1 second that this show is going to do something interesting, I don't know why for a second I thought to myself, oh, so we're mainly going to focus on Supergirl? Who am I to think that this show called Supergirl would mainly focus on Supergirl? I'm stupid. I'm such an idiot. I really should have known better. Clearly, we need to make over half of this episode political. And not just political. No. Okay, so we already talked about the racial stuff going on, the police brutality of people of color. We've already talked about that this season. Let's see, what's something else that happened recently? Oh, yeah! School shootings. Let's talk about gun control, guys, because that is what Supergirl is also about. Gun control. Because that's what the people came here to see, right? Right? You tune in to a show called Supergirl about superheroes? You want to see it all political. Ooh, that was a good one. Yeah, so half of this episode, I'm just sitting here bored out of my mind, waiting to get back to see what's going on with the world killer stuff, because that's what I want to see. And no, the show is like, no, guys, let's talk about gun control. Let's make sure this one guy is able to get access to these guns. I should have realized it. Like that one episode, whenever the cops show up and Jimmy is there and he's a vigilante and they're pointing the guns at him, I should have realized right then, they're going to make it about that stuff. Yeah, as soon as this guy pulls out this really big weapon and starts shooting at a cop and Jimmy stops him, it should have hit me, It should have hit me. Wait, he's got that really big... When he even drops the line, what kind of weapon was that? It was like a cannon. I'm just like, yeah. It was a assault rifle. And then they find out, oh, this one guy that sells to the DEO also sells to civilians. And I'm like, what? You sell to civilians, you evil person? And the guy's like, dude, it's a business. I have a lot of people I need to pay. I have workers that I need to pay. I make sure everything's good. This one guy goes crazy because of what happened to him. And all of a sudden they're just like, no, this is wrong. This is evil. This one guy makes it all evil. And then John's like, at the end of the episode, guys, we're going to go no weapons from now on. No lethal weapons. We're going to go to non-lethal weapons now. I'm like, oh yeah, because that is so easy. Let me tell you. Because in a show where they've got a super genius that works for them and they're able to create weapons that are non-lethal, yeah, that's such an empowering message to all of us that also have access to super geniuses that can create non-lethal weapons to protect us as well, right? Right? Because that's an option. See, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was smart enough to know whenever they made the icers, which were like the non-lethal weapons that just stun the people, when they did it, it was not about gun control. It wasn't making some political big statement. It wasn't standing up and saying, guys, no, guns are bad, guns are wrong. No, it was because there was somebody who was not in control of what they were doing, needed to be stopped in a way that wasn't going to kill them, and so they made the icers to do it. And it made sense in the context of the show, but if you wanted to take it politically and say, hey, look, they're doing it in a non-lethal way, that's fine. That's up to you. If you want to believe that, that's up to you. But this show is so not subtle, again, about its stupid messages that it wants to beat into your head that if you're conservative, if you're not liberal, you're stupid, you're evil, you're a bastard. I mean, it's so frustrating. And I get the fact that it's probably a little more frustrating for me because they're calling me evil and stupid. But still, even if I was a liberal, I'd still be like, this is a little heavy-handed. And this isn't exactly what I'm looking for when I come to watch a show called Supergirl. I don't want to come to hear some propaganda about, the cop abuse of people of color. I don't want to hear about, gun control and how that needs to be a thing. I just want to see Supergirl. I just want to watch a superhero show. Can I just get that instead? But no, we can't do that. Like, I honestly, almost, if I wasn't so tired and I wasn't so pissed off at the show, I would almost want to go back and actually time how much time is spent talking about everything to do on Earth compared to the stuff going on with Supergirl. Because in a show called Supergirl, I would expect she leaves to go to Argo. Most of the episode is spent with her there, accumulating to the lifestyle. Somebody's trying to maybe kill her because that one thing falls and she's suspicious of it, and so she's trying to figure out is something actually going on. People are telling her no, it's fine. There could be more time spent where this one woman is making her look crazy because she's like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. And maybe it's not even just one woman. Maybe it's like a group of 2 or 3. So one of them tries to drop a scaffolding on her, and then she sees somebody wearing that same cloak. She's like, it was you. But no, she was at work. So then all of a sudden somebody else is trying to attack her. And so it's like a group of them, and they could extend it out longer than just that one instance. But no, it was that instance, and there was the instance where the robot attacks, and then they figured out, oh no, somebody actually is trying to attack her, guys. Something's wrong. And that's all they had for the stuff on Argo. Because the rest of the episode was all about stuff on Earth. And it's not even them missing Supergirl. No, they had to do something. You can't just have your side characters doing nothing at all. You can't have your side characters doing side missions. No, they got to have a lot of focus, guys. They got to have a big story going on. They got to make a stand against guns and for gun control because that's what we want to see. I realize I'm tired, and that's probably why I'm getting even more frustrated by these stupid political messages shoved into a show that doesn't need it. But I don't know. I was thinking about it. When they got to the end of the episode and they saw that their ship had been taken and that Selena had took that thing and then shoved it into the ground, and so she brought the World Killer base back again. Whenever I saw all of that, all I could think was, I feel like nothing happened. I feel like there was so little time devoted to this, I just don't care. which is weird because I was interested. I was kind of like, where's this going? This is kind of interesting. And even when the stuff on Argo was happening, I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of interesting. Maybe somebody's trying to drive her insane. Maybe someone's trying to make her look crazy so then she gets discredited or something along those lines. But then they just cut back to everything going on Earth and spent like 10 minutes there, and I just lost focus. I'm just like, we're back on Argo now? Oh, okay, well, she's in the garden and Mon-El's there, and now they're talking about relationship stuff. Man, now we're cutting back to stuff I don't even want to see with Supergirl anymore. Like, ugh. That's the thing. That scene with Mon-El could have been a good scene. I actually would have welcomed that scene. I normally hate the Kara Mon-El stuff because it's so ridiculous and how like sappy and cheesy and oh my gosh, our guys, they're so in love, and it took up so much time at the beginning of last season. I normally hate that stuff. In an episode though where this was mainly focused on Supergirl and what's going on Argo and all the stuff, people trying to attack her suspicious of everyone, but nobody's really doing what nobody seems to be doing what she thinks that they're doing, and so everybody's kind of like, this is a girl who cried wolf all over again. This scene in the garden would actually be kind of refreshing because she's been going crazy this whole... If it plays out like how I want it to play out, she's been going crazy this whole episode. She's been freaking out because she feels like she's under attack, but nobody else can see what she's doing. And so she's like, what is going on? I don't understand. Am I actually under attack? Is it just because I'm so used to being under attack? Is that what's going on? And it becomes kind of like a psychological thriller. And so this one scene where they're in the garden and it's just her and Mon-El, and it's just kind of a sweet moment where she remembers that dream and she remembers seeing him in that dream. It would be kind of welcome. It would be like, yeah, okay, let's take a little break. She gets a chance to relax and it helps her get a little bit of clarity so she can see, okay, maybe I'm being a little paranoid, but I do sense that something is still wrong. And then all of a sudden, that's when the robot attacks, and then she realizes, no, something is definitely wrong, and then they find it out, and then they take the woman who's been attacking them, but people don't necessarily believe her at first, and so it takes a second for them to prove, no, look, this robot attacked us, and they have proof somehow on the cameras. They could actually stretch that story out some more and make it more interesting. But instead of doing that, they decided, you know what, let's take the characters on Earth and let's just provide them a long story for this episode. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's the smart stuff, because let's not make it all about our main character. Let's not make it all about the character, the title character. No. That's not smart. That's not good writing. That's not good marketing. No. It's about the side characters, guys. This show should be called Supergirl's Friends. Not Supergirl, Supergirl's Friends, because that's what it's all about. It's about her friends, her family, and her relationships, not about Supergirl. So with all that being said, I mean, I can't say much more about it. It's just, that was it. And it really is kind of funny to me that the two most political episodes happen so close together. You have Jimmy being attacked by the cops, and then him talking about, oh, it's because I'm black, and I was cuffed when I was 7 because I'm black, and this all happened because I'm black, because the writers chose to make me black, and so now I'm black in the show, and so now the cops hate me because I'm black. And now all of a sudden, oh no, guns are bad. Guns are real bad. We shouldn't have guns. No, take away all the guns. Nobody should have guns. That way, when the criminals get the guns, nobody has guns to protect themselves. It's just the criminals that have guns. Not even the cops are going to have guns anymore. We're going to take away from the cops. We're going to give them just tasers. So that way, whenever the bad guys get the guns, they won't have ways to defend themselves. It's just going to be a taser. And then the guys are going to be like, oh, you cannot reach me with that taser from 20 feet away. I can reach you with this gun from 20 feet away, though. Bang! Cop's dead because we gave them tasers. Because they don't need guns. So that's it. Again, I apologize. If I ended up going a little too politically heavy-handed in this review, it's probably because I'm tired. But it's just, it really does frustrate me whenever a show decides to do stuff like that. Because if you want to have those political subtexts, I got no problem with it. I realize not everybody agrees with me, and I don't necessarily want everyone to agree, because healthy discussion is what leads to smarter solutions. It leads to compromises, which leads to smarter solutions. That's part of why discussions exist in the first place. But whenever a show so wholeheartedly wants to tell everyone why they're stupid for believing what they believe, I mean, it makes me feel attacked. It makes me not want to see more of it. And as somebody who, even beyond that, just wants to see a show about Supergirl, that makes it even more dumb, because now I'm spending time having to watch something that I don't even want to watch whenever the other part of the story is just being cut to the point where it's just a couple scenes and kind of takes the background for this episode, which shouldn't happen when the main character is being involved in that. So, anyways, all that being said, that's it for these 3 episodes. Whew, 40 minutes. Wow. Yeah, I did not expect to do a 40-minute review. I was kind of hoping to just keep these to like 20 minutes at the most. But that's what Supergirl does. It makes me want to talk about every possible thing, because let's be honest, there's so many bad things. There's a lot to talk about. So anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts, on this episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe, future Supergirl reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.